Welcome aboard the National Geographic Explorer for this expedition to Antarctica. For this expedition, we're going to explore the very best the Antarctic Peninsula has to offer, using everything at our disposal. From the ship, we have kayaks, we have zodiacs, and we're going to go to the Weddell Sea and explore tabular icebergs. We're going to go and look for the elusive blue whales, the emperor penguins, and of course, killer whales. Leaving Ushuaia, we knew that we were facing the Drake Shake. You don't get anything for free, and Antarctica has always come to the cost during the Drake. We're going to have to pay the toll to experience this incredible place. So we definitely got a taste of what the Drake can do. We had 40 knots of wind and 25 to 30 foot swells. Antarctica is more than the end of the Earth. Antarctica is the measure of the very best of us. It's the only continent on the planet where we have managed it for peaceful purposes, for science and for conservation, to preserve the last pristine environment on the planet. And it's the best landscape on Earth with the most incredible wildlife. When you come down here, two things happen. You'll never forget what you saw here, and the way that you think about us and our place on the planet is going to be changed forever because of what you experienced. I can't wait to see what we find. Welcome aboard.
We've successfully crossed the Drake Passage and we're now in Antarctica proper, and we have found this massive tabular berg, and it's A57A. It broke off from the Ronnie Filchner ice shelf at the base of the Weddell Sea, and has traveled more than 1,000 miles to get to this position in about 10 years. And it's about 12 nautical miles long, 4 miles wide. About 1/5 will be above the surface and 4/5 will be below the surface. And we measured it as 42 meters above the surface, which means there's 160, 170 meters of ice below the surface that we can't see. It dwarfs most cities that I can think of. It's a huge berg. And trying to imagine the volume of fresh water frozen in this thing, it's mind-boggling.
Just incredible. I don't think you can imagine it until you get down here and actually see it. It's even hard to comprehend it while you're looking at it. It's just so big. So it's just indescribable experience.
And it's also attracting tremendous wildlife. Because it's so big, it stops the flow of water. The water bounces against it. It causes upwellings, and we're seeing humpback whales and fur seals, penguins in the water. Everybody's feeding on krill, it looks like. And what a great way to start our adventure in Antarctica. This is what Antarctica is all about, the ice. And here we have, right in front of us, one of the biggest pieces of ice you can imagine.
Welcome to False Bay. Isn't this a beautiful afternoon here? So this is the south coast of Livingston Island. Livingston is the second largest island in the South Shetland chain. Big, beautiful place covered by an enormous ice cap. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 glaciers pouring down into this bay from that ice cap that covers most of Livingston Island. All the glaciers, of course, are constantly flowing down from the ice cap. So all the ice in the water around us came from the glaciers around us. Isn't the color of the ice just exquisite? Ice is one of the things that defines the Antarctic more than anything. Everywhere you go are glaciers and ice falls and sea ice, frozen ocean. And that's a great habitat for seals of various kinds. This is a leopard seal. Nice find. Great animal to see on our first day out. Leopard seals are not uncommon here in the South Shetlands. This animal is probably around 10 feet long, about 1,000 pounds. Not the biggest of all seals, but the leopard seal is a top predator in these waters. Only one thing ever eats leopard seals, and that's killer whales. Leopard seals have a bullet-shaped snout. People say reptilian head. Yeah, I think that's a good insight. That seal can open its mouth with a gape of 18 inches. Really, really amazing jaws. Big yawn there, yeah. Little leopard seal yoga. Healthy seal, got a lot of fat. What a beautiful animal. Such a beautiful afternoon. Just spectacular today. Not a bad start.
This morning we're landing at Brown Bluff, our first landing of this expedition. And we're also landing on the Antarctic continent. We get to see 2 species of brush-tailed penguins at Brown Bluff, Adelie penguins and Gentoo penguins. Adelie penguins and Gentoos can be easily differentiated. Adelie penguins have a black back, a white belly, and they have a white ring around their eye. Whereas Gentoos have an orange beak and a white stripe on their head and orange feet. This is the end of the breeding cycle for both penguin species, the Gentoos and the Adelies. And we can see chicks that are molting. So they're losing their down feathers and molt into the waterproof plumage. The juvenile penguins are independent of their parents now. They're getting more confident and they're curious. So we get the great opportunity to just sit there on the beach and let them approach us. This morning we're getting to see an amazing moment of a whole group of penguins jumping into the water. Flip is flapping around everywhere, water splashes. As they rush into the water, they're getting a taste of what it's going to be like to be an adult at sea.
I've never seen anything like the number of them that went into the water and the noise. There was something so joyous. And then a little puzzling, like how come them and not the others? And I guess I love what feels like the collective nature of it. It wasn't one, new penguin going off to swim. It was like sort of everybody, let's do it together. But beautiful.
We have a small beach here at Brown Bluff but it's full of wildlife. We have penguins up close. It's just perfect.
So after an amazing morning at Brown Bluff full of penguins, we made our way to our second landing, but were interrupted by something pretty spectacular. Killer whales. Not just any killer whales, but type B2s. So killer whales in general are considered the top predators down here in the marine ecosystem. Now, these are the little bees, meaning on their skin there's some visible coloration, either green or yellow, and that's actually from the diatoms, the single-celled algae that they collect swimming through the nutrient waters of Antarctica. These are fantastic creatures to watch, very mobile, but B2s specifically are going for the smaller stuff. That might be a penguin, that may be a fish. There's still studies being conducted on the full range of their diet. And it was a large group, so everyone rushed to the bow to get a great look. Photos are being taken, and it's another wonderful afternoon on board.
Oh, there they are.
Yeah. Way up there.
Yeah.
So this afternoon is very exciting. We get to see Paulette Island. It's a small volcanic island, just about 1.8 kilometers in diameter. But during the height of the Adelie breeding season, we have about 200,000 breeding birds here. And so what we're seeing now are the juveniles that are thermally independent from their parents. Penguins are the emblematic bird species in Antarctica. And as we watch them on land waddle, it's easy to think of them as comical and helpless birds. But actually, they have adapted to survive in this very harsh and extreme environment. And they're very tough birds. Some of their adaptations include the very dense and waterproof feathers and the flippers that help them being so agile at sea. And it's something to think about. We humans wouldn't last in this environment for 3 days, whereas these birds survive in this for 10 to 15 years. Imagine what penguins have to go through in 1 year of their life. They have to go out and sea, feed themselves, feed their chicks, and go back and forth in ice-cold water in these really harsh conditions. So while we should, of course, enjoy observing those awesome animals, we should still have a lot of respect for them as well.
Oh my God! It's so close.
There's really not downtime for them during this austral summer. They're just looking to fill and feed as much as possible. That was a hard turn it just made, so certainly corralling, so expect a lunge feed.
is so exciting to see blue whales. It's the largest animal, so far as we know, that has ever existed on Earth. They can get to over 100 feet in length and well over 100 tons in weight. And they dwarf even the biggest of the dinosaurs in size and mass. It's kind of mind-boggling to see one. The whaling industry down here slaughtered them. And for many years, we never saw blue whales down here. It's only in the last few years that we're starting to see one or two here and there. And it's very exciting to think that they're making a comeback.
We hope you found a place to enjoy the largest creature on our planet, the blue whale.
And it's always exciting to see a blue whale.
I never ever thought I would see a blue whale. It's breathtaking, poetic, and beautiful. Words are inadequate. It's so beautiful. I am so privileged to be here to see this. You think it can't get any better, and then a blue whale is off the bow. It's brilliant beyond words. Antarctica is a wilderness that is breathtaking. It goes on, and it's blues and grays and whites and silvers. Again, words are inadequate. It's so beautiful here.
Once in a long while, maybe one trip in 3 years or 5 years, you get to spend an evening in the Weddell Sea where the light transforms the Antarctic world into something truly magical. Tonight, there was a crescent moon slowly setting in the glow after the sunset. The dark blue shadows of the ice, the orange glow in the sky, the brighter light on the moon itself. Everything we experience down here is a great privilege. But sunsets like this in the Weddell Sea, they are as good as it gets.
So it's really hard, guys, when you're moving with something that's so cryptic, juvenile, it's away from the colony, it might be out foraging for the first time. While you're looking, take a second, look out on the right-hand side and have a look at this blue iceberg. Get into Limbo Cove, it must have been favourable gods, not just with the weather, but that's emperor penguin, come on, in Limbo Cove. The best wildlife sighting we could have in here. That is the first time I've ever seen an emperor penguin on this side of the Antarctic Peninsula.
It was great, beautiful. Great little fella.
she lying in front of you? There.
Kayak, eh? Oh man, what a day. It is.
So we're off Trinity Island right now, and we just came across a group of 4 killer whales and about 4 to 6 humpback whales. And it's a really interesting interaction. The type A killer whales are the largest form of killer whales in the Antarctic Peninsula, and it's likely that they just killed something, probably an elephant seal or some other type of seal. And the humpback whales were a little bit agitated with the situation, and they were trumpeting and grouping together and chasing the killer whales around. And it's an interaction we've seen a number of different times. A lot of times they like to interfere with the killer whales trying to kill something, especially seals. So one reason why the humpback whales get upset about the killer whales is killer whales like to feed upon humpback whales when they're small calves. So it's quite possible that seeing the killer whales attack and kill this seal brought back bad memories from when they were a calf, and the killer whales tried to kill them as well. One thing that you could see in this interaction, a lot of time the humpback whales were rolling around, and you saw their flukes and their pectoral flippers come out. They put their belly out of the water. And when you see them roll around and put their appendages out of the water, a lot of times it's just a display of agitation for the killer whales.
Yeah, there's 2 humpbacks.
Something that we've seen before is that the humpback whales will actually save the seal from the killer whales. And so we've seen them roll over and they have a seal on their belly out of the water, trying to keep it away from harm's risk with the killer whales. This was an amazing interaction. And a lot of times when you see the start of an interaction like this, you think that the killer whales might be trying to kill the humpback whales themselves. But it was a very different situation. In fact, they'd already killed something else, and then the humpback whales were intervening. But this was a really special encounter with a number of different species.
That was amazing. You can see that?
I'm John Bowermaster. I'm a writer and a filmmaker, and I'm here this week on board the ship as the Global Perspective guest speaker. Over the years, I've been really fortunate to have traveled the world and looked mostly at the relationship between man and the ocean. And thanks to 7 grants from the National Geographic Expeditions Council, I've been able to visit emblematic coastlines on every continent and Oceania. And what we came away from after the 10-year-long project was that the one big ocean is impacted by 4 same things: plastic pollution, ocean acidification, overfishing, and the impacts of climate change. My relationship with Antarctica now goes back over 30 years. We've made 2 films down here, and I'm a big believer that media makes a difference, and that by sharing these stories, it really helps people expand their curiosity. But the other boom is in tourism. This year there'll be over 50-some thousand visitors to Antarctica. You have to always question at what point is too much. But on the other hand, we're creating all these ambassadors who will then go back home, talk about how great Antarctica was, how important it is to preserve it and take care of it and pay attention to it. And every time they see Antarctica in the headlines from here on out for the rest of their lives, they'll think of it in a different way because they've come here. I've been to Antarctica more than 20 times, and it's the most pristine place on the planet. It's a place that continues to evolve and change, but definitely demands our eyewitness. But just giving people a glimpse of what this place is like turns them into immediate ambassadors. The way that Lindblad and National Geographic bring people to Antarctica is nothing but a boon for both the travelers and the continent, because the continent needs as many eyeballs as it can get. And the closer we watch it and pay attention to it, the better. And what better way to learn about it and become a voice for Antarctica than to come here?
Yeah. Photo's not going to really...
Welcome to Palmer Station, one of 3 permanent U.S. Antarctic Program research stations. This is our last day in Antarctica before we head back over the Drake Passage to Ushuaia. And we are so privileged and lucky to be here because they only allow 12 ships a year. And so we have an opportunity to get to see how scientists and support staff live here on the peninsula doing science that's supported by U.S. taxpayer dollars. What a great way to end our trip learning about the human scientific presence in Antarctica after a voyage full of amazing wildlife encounters.
Antarctica is always amazing, but we had the weather, we had incredible wildlife, and we had the team to make it happen. And then Antarctica is truly the only place on Earth that I want to be. Now you've been to Antarctica, you too are part of the very best of our intentions. You can be ambassadors for this incredible place, for its wildlife, for the preservation of the ecosystem. And now you get to be a voice for the people that can't speak and for the animals down here that need your passion, your experience, and your dedication, so that it stays like this for everybody else that wants to come and see it. Thank you so much for trusting us to bring you down to Antarctica. Can't wait to see you again anywhere else on the planet, on one of our ships in a different destination, or maybe right back here when you figure out that it's not the penguins that are going to bring you back, that it's the ice.
Polar plunge, cold temperatures is fun. Peel that robe off, jump, and get it done.
That's the jump off the bow.
you.